Welcome to this edition of Tamtam Express on Channel Africa. I am Fazila Dahall. The topic today of our discussion is women and finance. My guest is Dr. Donald Kaberuka, the President of the African Development Bank. Mr. President, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
Let us first talk about this first African Women Economic Summit, which has been held in Nairobi, Kenya. You came on board, the African Development Bank came on board with new faces, new voices. What motivated the bank to come on board?
I think what I find extremely important here is that this is not the first time when this issue has been to the table. There have been numerous conferences, numerous pieces of advocacy. So the issue itself is no longer controversial. In fact, is widely accepted. Why there is a shortfall is in the implementation. Things are not happening or not happening fast enough for there to be concrete progress on the ground. And so the idea of this get-together was to say, okay, can we identify the obstacles? Can we identify what should be done? And we thought with Gracia and new faces, that the best way to do this is to bring around the table a coalition of actors in the world of finance. So regulators, development finance institutions, commercial bankers, business people, and then look at the way the system functions and to see how can we make progress faster. So it is not another conference of setting out the high moral ground, the high principles of the importance of women empowerment. It is about, but how do we actually do it? What are the obstacles are we encountering? What commitments can we make? How do we ensure they are time-bound, they are measurable, and how do we report back? And secondly, how do we expand this coalition and scale up the few things which have been done successfully? And so that's why we at the bank were extremely enthusiastic to participate here, and I look forward to continue this effort by trying to scale up what we do and also widen the coalition of actors in this world of finance.
You mean action this time, not just talking shop?
It is action, it is time-bound, it is measurable, and you have all to be accountable so that we report back on what we have done, including widening the coalition of forces here.
The theme of the conference, investing differently in women. How so, Mr. President?
Well, one of the looking at it is that far too often, when people talk about women economic empowerment in Africa, instinctively we think about microfinance. And so you have got the proliferation of small microfinance programs, which are important, especially for the women in the informal sector, in the rural areas, where they can access these programs. But I think we need to look at the potential, the opportunities offered by the finance in general, and to say, what is the problem? Maybe women don't have a track record, they don't have collateral, except a few. And so can we approach them, and instead of lending on the basis of history and track record, approach them on the basis of strategy? What is it that you want to do? How can we help you do it? And so, for example, instead of giving a loan, demanding a guarantee, a collateral, we provide a partial guarantee, but knowing that we are there for assuming part of the risk. We're going to promote training. We're going to promote risk assessment, risk mitigation. We help the business associations. And so instead of waiting to say, well, do they have collateral? Or are they in the domain of microfinance? We're looking at the mesofinance, intermediate finance, but also all the gamut of financial products. And so this is what we have in mind.
So the bank has come up with innovative mechanisms to meet the needs of women.
We have done so for quite some time. But I think the bank cannot do this alone. Because to give you an example, if we give a line of credit to a local bank, and then the regulation do not allow you to innovate, will have given the money, but regulation will be a problem. If you give partial guarantees to a group of women, but there's not adequate training in risk management, we will not succeed, not because they are not given a line, but because there's not enough capacity. And so our idea is to scale up what we do, to bring in more people, and to try and innovate all the time as we move along. And that is why we discussed, I think, yesterday and today at length, what is it regulators have to do? Like they have done here in Kenya. You heard about how the number of women, relatively poor women, who have opened up bank accounts, unimaginable several years ago. And now they're able to access the world of finance, not as microfinance, but they put the deposit, they get loans, and facilities like everyone else.
What would you say are the main challenges in harnessing the economic power of women?
First of all, there is a problem of harnessing the problem of poor people in general in terms of accessing instruments of empowerment, and finance is one of them. But with that general problem, then the women have particular constraints, which vary from country to country. In some countries, it is the laws of the country which have to change. In some other areas, it is traditions, which people have to be mobilized, educated. In some other countries, frankly, it is inertia, or rather what I can call, to use euphemism, active inertia. You know what to do, but you don't do it. And I think part of what we're doing here is to try to overcome this active inertia, because we know what should be done. If it is laws which must change, we know how to change them. If it is some traditions holding us back, we know what to do. If it is innovation, we know what to do, but we should get down and do it.
The financial economic crisis hasn't helped the situation of women. But at the same time, would you say it has given them some opportunities?
I think we need to differentiate several things here. The financial crisis affected the flow of finance to Africa in general, especially trade finance, and also activities of banks in general. The risk appetite was lower. Some of the banks who have their mother banks in Europe were retrenching because of the issues with our domestic regulators. And so there was the issue of flow of finance in general. So when you have limited flow of finance, you understand that with risk appetite being lower, those at the bottom of the ladder will be the least to be attained. And that is why we came in very early in the crisis, we as a bank, and we put facilities at the disposal of the financial institutions in Africa, those who wanted it, whether it is trade finance, liquidity, whether it is precautionary finance, to say, okay, we'll fill the gap, we'll act counter-cyclically until there is a better environment in the market of finance. Thank God things are improving slowly. They're improving slowly. Thank God credit is beginning to flow again. Because if you look at the numbers now, I think we're back almost to, at least in this region, to pre-September 2008, and that is very good. But we need to go further.
In your intervention at the conference, you stress a lot on the economic integration. I would like you here on the show to expand on that.
I tell you, first of all, there's a general problem, not simply for women. The general problem is that the internal dynamics of this African market cannot be limited to one country. The opportunities of trading with the rest of the world begin with the neighbors. What you call world trade does not mean simply trading with the rest of the world. It begins with the neighbors. And what I mean is that we need to bring down these barriers which prevent trade and diversity of trade expanding. This we know, we all agree, at the political level, at head of state level, but at the level of actually doing it, financial integration across the different parts of Africa, there is some way to go. But if I give an example of this woman from Togo who spoke at this conference, you will know that these Togolese women will go to Netherlands and buy these African prints. And they dominated the entire West African market. They call them the Mama Bens or something like this.
Yes, yes, correct. Yes.
These people were no longer national actors. They were regional actors. They were international actors. And so you need to allow these people to access the market in Senegal, in Ivory Coast, in Nigeria. Remove the barriers to trade. That is what I have in mind. I'm not saying that we should promote women economic opportunities in one country and that's the end of it. No. I think the region, the continent should be the limit. I understand this is a wider agenda, but I think frankly it is as important as everything else we do.
Dr. Donald Kaberuka, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you.